and gentlemen, we've got some panelists coming up here. So, when I announce their names, what I'm going to need you to do is just give a nice hearty round of applause and maybe some oohs and ahs and ah and like stuff like that, okay? First up, coming from Slate, we've got Christina Lee. Oh yeah, I heard she's incredible at trampoline hockey. Don't even know what that is, but I heard she's good at it. All right, after Christina Lee, we've got none other than the very danceable Nayu. We're going to Gabriel Gomez. MCo Beauty, he has plenty of extremely unique and impressive dance moves. That's true. That is true.
I didn't say that. I didn't say that.
Oh, you did not say that, but I did. So there you go. After that, from Business Insider, coming all the way from the business land herself, that's what I'm saying right now, Tameka Bazile. Tameka once found a solid ounce of gold in the streets. Is that right? Did you find a thing of gold?
If I did, I wouldn't be here.
Yes, okay. After that, from breaking and entering media, the dude can ping pong with the best of them. It's Jack Westerkamp, right there. Jack Westerkamp. Yeah. Tell us about your ping pong skills.
Non-existent.
That's what I'm talking about. I like that. And last but not least, back from Slate, we've got none other than the one and only Carmen Vicente, who is missing Scramble Night to be here. Carmen, welcome.
All right, have a good time, guys. We're excited for this panel. We'll see you after the conversation.
Hi, everybody. Let me just pull up my phone here. Every time, I was saying this in the Uber over, every time I say yes to a speaking event, I think, never again. I will never do this again. Okay, I've got some notes on my phone, and when I get nervous, I need more notes. So I might be looking at these a little bit, but we've got an hour to chat. I want to make good use of the time. I think what we're going to do first, I mean, we did kind of get intros, but let's all go through. We'll say who we are, what we do for work, and then our little icebreaker question to answer is, what's the last internet rabbit hole you fell down? So I'm going to start. I'm Carmen. I lead content and social strategy at Slate. And the last rabbit hole that I went down, I've been doing some research for a new video coming up. It's about like the virality of kids' toys. And so I was reading about this guy named Ty Warner, and he started Beanie Babies. And then he used to be a salesman, and then he got really, he made a lot of money on Beanie Babies, but then he was embroiled in some tax evasion and he got arrested, and I just have been reading a lot about him. So that's my main rabbit hole.
Thanks. Hello, everyone. My name is Tameka Bazile, and I am an associate director at Business Insider. I oversee B2B social and content. And at night, I go home and I create content for myself. My last internet rabbit hole, honestly, I go through like maybe 3 or 4 per week. But the one that I actually keep coming back to is like the Titanic sinking reenactments. I don't know why, but there's always a new point of view. Like there's always a new point of view. Like you could do one from like the bottom of the ship. You can do one from the top of the ship. You can do one from where like the rich people were allowed to stay. You can do
you like watch it on YouTube and just like watch people fall down, or like?
Yeah, you can like watch people like, oh, like if you were standing here, like this is what their experience was like yeah. And I don't know why, but like it never gets old. It never gets old.
Those are your 11 hours that you said.
Yes.
Your screen time.
Unfortunately, it makes me happy.
Thank you, Tameka. Speaking of the Titanic, my name is Jack. And I'm the co-founder of Breaking and Entering. My other co-founder and roommate and best friend, Gino, is also here.
He just won the contest of screen time.
I know, which is good for business. So we make content about advertising and marketing, and I've had a couple TikToks of my own. Get over 100,000 views, no big deal. I have 900 followers on TikTok. And then my internet rabbit hole, I've been into like how movies get made, and then specifically, actually recently, David Fincher, he made Zodiac, and he was obsessed with making the actors redo the scenes, and he made Jake Gyllenhaal in Zodiac open up a door 134 times. And then I looked up if David Fincher was a sociopath. Inconclusive results. We don't actually know. So TBD.
Wow.
Great.
I don't have like a Titanic tie-in, unfortunately, but my name's Gabe. I run social and creators for MCo Beauty at Westerkamp. So I just like post videos about lipstick and like stuff like that. But I'm also a creator and I create content on LinkedIn, memes. I like comment on a lot of Christine's posts, like hyping her up and stuff, like laughing at jokes.
Cheerleader. Yeah, my numero uno cheerleader.
And my rabbit hole actually it wasn't like on purpose. I think like a lot of rabbit holes maybe happen on accident, although to you guys sounds like you're like have an addiction.
Oh, no, I'm in there.
Yeah, you're in there on purpose for sure. I saw an initial TikTok about a conspiracy theory where rich people have these like crazy, like, you know, really exclusive invite-only parties where they serve sushi that are like made like mermaids. So like it's a dinner party, you go to the secret room and there's a fish tank, but it's like mermaids and like you're eating sushi from mermaids. And it's like invite only, and like I just like watching so many videos about people allegedly like I have a friend who got invited and they see mermaids and that's what rich people do. So yeah, like maybe there's a tie to the Titanic there somehow.
Yeah, actually, I do think there's a path.
I think there's a path somehow, but that is.
If there is, I'll find it.
Yeah, so we'll use Slate to make a video recap about our findings.
Good plug. Good plug. Yeah. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Lee, head of marketing at Slate. I feel like my rabbit hole isn't as interesting as you guys. Mine makes me feel like a stalker. Because we talked about this already. I do have a problem. But so you guys know how Wuthering Heights just came out? So the Alordi, I saw a lot of videos about him and I learned so much before, like I learned about him before the whole yearning thing, and now where we are now, my husband questions a lot of what I'm doing at night while watching these videos. But anyways, that's my rabbit hole, is just learning about Jacob Elordi.
What did you like learn?
If it makes you feel better, I've also fallen down rabbit holes not them too.
Okay, I feel like a lot of women in this room probably feel the same way.
It's because he's like 6'5".
Yeah, he's so tall. The height and the hair
Oh.
and the, right?
This is recorded, it's like a recorded.
I mean, can someone send it to him?
I was gonna say, clip it with Slate. Please send it to me.
Feel like, you know, it's never too late to date me, even though I'm married. It's okay.
Okay, first question. All right, so I want to talk a little bit. I mean, I'm just going to dive into these thinkers. When I think about social, you know, let's say 10 to 15 years ago, when it was a little more novel, I felt like we really wanted the aspirational, like really beautiful houses and lots of like lavish travel and people who had, you know, crazy fridges stocked full of things, like true influencer, like early influencer culture, right? And then of course it wasn't relatable. It was kind of like, yeah, we started to almost have like a response or like a counterculture to be like, okay, that's not very authentic. So then we wanted authenticity, and then we got performed authenticity, which as it turns out is actually worse. And you know, I'm always sort of wondering like, well, okay, what's the next thing? And so I sort of want to know, you know, we've had aspirational, we've had authentic, we've had fake authentic. I don't think anyone worth their salt would say now like, oh, you should be authentic on social. Like, I think that's pretty bad advice at this point. So sort of a two-parter here. Okay, what is next if it's not performed authenticity? And then what's the second part of my question? I'm getting nervous. And the second part of my question is, oh yeah. So what do we actually want to see in our feeds? And I think you could answer this as you, singular person, or we, the collective. What do we want to see in our feeds?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Thank you, Jack.
I mean, to be honest, I think the reason why, in my opinion, I stopped liking the people doing these lavish vacations is because it felt very performative. Like, I still like when someone who is legitimately going on these vacations and like lives a crazy lavish life is posting about it. I think that still hits for me. It's just when it gets tired when people are like putting it up front and they want you to think that they're living a life that they aren't actually living, which is why like that end of the spectrum for me is just as entertaining as there's this one random guy who calls himself semi-employed in Los Angeles, lives in Long Beach, and he's like, I barely have a job, and I make like $500 from TikTok every month, so I'm like semi-employed, and so but he's showing his real life, like he's got a great personality. So on either end of the spectrum, I don't think it's necessarily like, I don't want to see less lavish content. It's more like it gets tired when people see the lavish content doing well, and they're like, oh, the reason it's doing well is because it's lavish content. But it's not. It's really because someone's bringing you into their life authentically. So for me, it's not a matter of like aspirational versus authentic. It like always comes back to, is this person bringing me into their life? And I can tell like within seconds. All of us can tell, gotten better in the last decade at understanding when someone's being honest or not, which maybe we didn't have that muscle to begin with. So that's kind of my take on it.
I think like it's interesting to hear everyone's response to this because we all live on different sides of the internet, so we're all probably like either tired of seeing the same thing or we're discovering new things at different paces. I think for me personally, to answer your question just around like what maybe is the next chapter for social, I think it's gonna be actually like more like live form content, like kind of like a different, like, people talk about like you peer into people's lives through like these really edited clips of like 30 to 60 second videos, but I think there's gonna be like a whole new chapter of like people always being plugged into people's lives and like watching them for like hours, like from when they wake up, like Tameka's 11-hour screen time, like is she gonna just
Like
watch
Truman Show kind of thing.
like streaming, variety streaming? I think that's being consumed at a much more like, there's just the sheer volume of hours is being consumed much more than like short form content. So I think that's gonna be like a huge like next wave for consumers, like consuming like here's like a buffet of like live streamers who just like watch like all day.
Yeah, and I mean like obviously there's live performances, like this one right now, or like there's like theater and things like that. But I do think it's like a little bit harder to be inauthentic when it's live. It's like you don't have as much of like, unless you really scripted it and all of that. Like I think it does cut out. I think part of why that's appealing is because it is more authentic.
Exactly, and it's like just like fascinating. Like I can see the fascination of people like if Miley Cyrus is part of her Hannah Montana like resurgence was just like 24 hours of Miley before she drops. Like I watched 24 hours of that.
Who wouldn't?
We need to talk about that later.
You want to take that one, Christina, or you're not?
No, I think honestly with this whole authenticity talk, I had this conversation the other day too, where I just think honestly our willingness to accept bullshit threshold is just getting like, we don't tolerate it anymore.
I mean,
think
we've
bored
watched so
of
much.
we consume so much content throughout the day that I feel like our tolerance level is just like, I don't care for this, I'm gonna keep swiping. And I don't know, I feel like my own behavior online too is that I'm craving, when I say authentic content, I'm really actually craving good content and not repeated content that I see again and again, something that AI can probably strum out. I don't know, I think like the bar is just a bit higher for that. But social, in how I've always seen it, is that as authentic as we try to be online, it's always gonna be some form of performance. And like what you guys see of me on whatever channel is whatever I want you to see. And so I think people will start sort of developing their characters a little bit differently with how they want to be perceived. And I think when people say, oh, I want to be seen as authentic, what they're really saying is I want to be seen as vulnerable, I want to be likable. And these are all qualities that people want to show all the time. I just think the demand for it is more now because it's so easy to be fabricated with like, I can just go on ChatGPT and have it write all my copy for me. I can just dump my brain in here and then that's it. But I don't know. I think it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like the bullshit meter changing has a lot to do with the screen time. Like we've, for better or worse, become connoisseurs because we have spent so much time consuming so much content that now we're like, yeah, I can actually determine what's pretty good and what's not.
What's worth my time? Because at this point, like I feel like time is it's such an expensive currency, and then for us to spend all that time on our screens and attach, and it makes us feel bad at the end. It's like we don't want to spend our time with that. So,
well, that leads into my next question. Analog, so hot right now. I feel kind of ambivalent about it. I mean, on one hand, sure, I want to get off my phone and that would be nice. On the other hand, I think that at the core of the analog movement is almost like, it's like antithetical to community, because my feeling, my thinking here is that like, okay, if we all leave, or we all say like, this is toxic, I don't want to be on my phone anymore, like, let's get out of here. It doesn't fix anything. Platforms don't get any better. Social media continues to be shit. And then there's other like things to think about here. Like there have been really good arguments brought up about how like not everyone has the privilege to leave social media, and like a lot of, I don't know, parent groups and stuff are on Facebook, and it's like it can be the way that you connect with your broader community. So I think that, to me, even though I talk about analog a lot, I still feel like there's like some crux of analog that is like kind of eroding what we have to do, which is the harder thing, which is stay on social media and potentially make it better. So there's this word that's been kind of floated around lately, stewardship. How do you think about yourself as like a steward of online spaces? And do you think that we can make, let's say, social media or social media platforms better, or are these like beyond repair? Do we really need to just lay them to rest?
I have really big feelings about this.
Please share your big feelings. We want to hear them. The bigger, the better.
Yeah, so prior to being in social, I actually spent 7 years in higher ed, and I did a career pivot, and that is ultimately what brought me into social. So I left in 2021, which was like right after the pandemic, so things were just very different. But I feel like there's still a big part of me that focuses a lot on how we do and don't intertwine education and knowledge base into our lives on a regular basis, especially once we become adults, right? Like, it's such a big part of our everyday lives when we're children and teenagers, because we're forced to go to school, we're forced to open textbooks, and we're forced to read primary research and things of that nature, and we're told that these things are to make us better, and then we graduate with however many degrees we want, and then we never do that shit again. So a big thing for me, just as a social creator, a big part of my content base is also talking about the disservice that we have experienced, because we were kind of just, phones were thrusted into our hands. And at a certain point, phones went from being pretty analog to they didn't work if you didn't have a data plan. And then the data plan came with internet, and with internet came social media apps, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we kind of fault people for not knowing how to use social media in healthy ways. And I think we need to kind of take a step back and go back to a time where we are intentional and creating knowledge bases for how people should be using social media, and I think it starts in schools. I think it starts in primary school, where you learn how to, I don't know, was I the only person that took typing classes, computer classes?
Oh, no, girl.
Yeah,
No.
right?
Showing our age here.
But how many of your children still take computer classes?
Actually, so I have a 9-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my 9-year-old has just told me she started typing in school, and I thought, ooh, vintage.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Like, we were talking about how to place our hands and kind of like how to kind of type without your hands leaving the keyboard. And you have no idea how many people I've seen like on the keyboard, but like, I think overall, the whole concept of going analog is doing a disservice to what do we need to do to make social media healthy and useful on a day-to-day basis, right? What do we need to do in order to teach people how to mentally disconnect from what they're seeing on social media, to curate their feeds is a big one. People don't curate their feeds, they let the algorithm feed them what the algorithm feels like they should be seeing. And then it ruins your fucking day, right? Like, you just got served something that that emotionally stunted you, and now you are walking through life like bitching at everyone. And like, sorry, I'm Brooklyn girl, I curse. And I think the reality of it is that a lot of the time we are told to see things as very black and white, right? Like, you are having a negative experience on social media, so you should get off of it. But there is a lot of knowledge base out there. There's a lot of primary research around what social media does to the brain. There's a lot of primary resources around how you can use social media a lot more intentionally. how you can disconnect, how you can create more safe and active social media use for your children, because they're going to get on there at some point, and we're just all actively ignoring it. And so I have very big feelings about the fact that we as a society continue to contribute to a very black and white mindset, period, around a lot of things. And it's just as dangerous when you do it socially as you are when you separate people and try to categorize people. It's just as dangerous to do it with social media.
Yeah, I mean, you explained that better than I literally ever could in my entire life. But you're 100% right. And it goes back, I think about like, when I was in high school, we all got iPads.
What year were you in high school?
Sorry?
What year were you in high
I
school?
graduated from high school in 2016.
Oh my
Greatest
gosh.
summer ever. I still think about it a lot.
Yeah.
It was also a great summer for me, but for different reasons. I was an adult.
Okay.
You should not have been doing that.
Yeah, that shit was awesome. But before that summer, I was in high school. And that year, we all got iPads for the first time, which was a wild situation. But what happened was they gave all the students iPads with no restrictions. And they just gave you an iPad. Like, can you imagine, like, giving a 17-year-old an iPad in a classroom? Nobody knows how to use it, but they're like, shit, someone donated all these iPads, we gotta use them, I'm sure it'll work out. And it's literally within 5 seconds, like, I'm setting Snapchat filter with my boys. Like, it was insane, but there's no guardrails. And so, but what do you expect? You're like, and so it reminds me of that a lot, like how social media has changed. And you kind of like, with the way the algorithm has moved, and with social media has gone less social media and more TV on your phone, like, nobody really asked for it, and whether or not it's a good or bad thing is one thing, but like, you can't expect people to just like figure this out on their own right away. So like, it begs the question of like, at what point do you set up guardrails? Do you treat your phone, social media, like we treat TV, where it's like, you can't cuss on TV, or and like, as a kid, like your parents would tell you you can't watch TV past 9. I couldn't watch Jersey Shore, which was a nightmare for me as a teenager, but I also totally understand why I wasn't exposed to that as a kid. So it feels very similar to that, like your experience and what you're saying with the getting an iPad when I was 17 in my classroom.
I feel like watching the Jersey Shore on the iPad as like a 17-year-old is like a canon event. Like, so many kids in America probably.
Yeah, I was like, where is Club Karma and how do I get there?
You had a question as well around like the responsibility
Yeah, like, I
that
mean,
like creators have.
yeah, do you feel, I mean, and I think it's a lot to place on yourself. I mean, there's like a Turkish sociologist, I forget her name and I can't pronounce it, but she was talking about how it's like pretty bullshit that, you know, it's a systemic problem and we put the onus on the user. And we say like, oh, you should probably fix your screen time problem, or you should maybe, you know, do some more self-care, or maybe like set up better guardrails for your morning routine. And it's like, no, I think that there's like a better and more realistic way that we fix this, and it's the platforms, like UX, you know, not my brain. They're preying on the like psychology tricks that they know will work. So that's something that I always think about. It's like not really it's not on me to figure out how to fix this problem, but I do think if I leave social media entirely and I don't talk about these things, then I'm not maybe being the best steward of the internet.
I do think creators, like, or a lot of folks are now creators, or anyone can start to create content, and I think there is a responsibility from a misinformation perspective. Like, we're all consuming content. We, as creators, should make sure we're not continuing to spread misinformation, although I do love the iconic meme of me fleeing the scene after spreading misinformation. that aside, I do think every creator should, like, take accountability and create content that doesn't just like get people, I think, confused about the internet that we live in. I think like I'll scroll my feeds and I'm like, I sometimes can't tell. This is like the millennial me, like, is this AI? I don't even know.
Yeah, we're screwing the world.
Yeah. So I just think to your point, like the responsibility on the platform, sure, on the consumer, yes, but also the creator. Like, you know, everyone has to be held accountable to some degree to make like a better internet.
I'll also add, quick case study. So Australia recently passed a law that anyone under 16 can have any socials, right?
I think most of Europe too. Like I think Spain just put it through, France.
Yeah,
Yeah, a lot of Europe is following suit.
very exciting, very exciting. I think that we are about to see a generation of super hackers.
But also, you know what? They can in Australia you can have LinkedIn. So maybe we'll see like 17-year-olds on LinkedIn.
Yeah, but
Come in, the water's warm.
But I think ultimately what that is going to lead to is we are about to see a generation of kids who are excessively good at getting into.
That's the thing,
Yeah.
and that's like goes back to the point of like, okay, so if we make social media a place where you can't go as a teenager,
Yes.
rather than a place that could be good to go as a
Yes.
teenager, like, are we fixing the problem?
No.
I don't think so.
No, you're just gonna make people really good at bad things.
Yeah. Do you guys also, so I have a 14-year-old and I also have a brother who is 21. And I've noticed the behavior of them on social is a little different than us millennials. Like they are not posting about themselves on social. They're actually most of the time incognito. They are scrolling and consuming content, but they are not posting about themselves. And when I ask them why, well, my 14-year-old is like, you don't let me. Privacy problems, you know. I was like, you can be on it, but you can't show your location and stuff. So he's like, my entire face is just not gonna be on the internet. But when I asked my brother, he was like, I don't want a digital footprint. Like they're so aware of things that we were not aware of. Because if you guys go back to my Facebook, which you are not gonna look it up, there are pictures and hundreds of albums of all the things that would get me canceled in a matter of 5 seconds if they were public.
Yeah, I was showing Piero my Halloween costume from when I was 22 the other day, and I was like, wish this wasn't on the internet.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's on the internet. You know, if they dig up old tweets and all these things like that. But it's just, I think the younger generation, at least from the optimistic side of me, I think I'm seeing them be very hyper aware of the repercussions that can happen from a lot of behaviors online. So I do think like it's not always so like, oh my God, it's gonna be the end of the world per se, but I think they are listening and paying attention to what's going on.
Well, the other thing too is, like, when I made an Instagram, I made it because I knew that when I posted something, it would go to all my friends that were following me. Now it's like you're either on one end of the spectrum of if you're posting on Instagram, you're a content creator. Because the way the algorithm works now, it's you post something, it's like your feed. Has anyone ever like gone on their feed on Instagram in the last year? Because I haven't. Like you just see the stories and you see what gets sent to you. And so you used to post on social media to show your friends what you're up to and use the like Paris filter. And you'd be like, yeah, like my cousin's gonna see this and you know, the person I have a crush on in college.
And your prom date, remember?
And my prom
yeah.
date, which I wish you well.
Oh, you're so young. You remember so many like old school Instagram stuff. That's
Drama's crazy. But I feel like that might also contribute to it. I imagine if you're in college right now, you either have to decide if I post this content, I'm either posting it to try and be a content creator because that's kind of like what social media is now. It's just entertainment on your phone, or I'll just go 0 dark 30 and I just won't show anything to anyone.
I agree. I definitely agree. I think we are now in kind of like an era where it's either you're a content creator or not. So most people can't enjoy simply posting on social media for two reasons. One, like, you never know when that shit's gonna go viral. Like, who wants to like just post something random and like wake up the next day and now 1 million people have seen it and that was just something that you posted just for like shits and giggles. But then there's
the TikToks that accidentally go viral, and you're just like, oh, I got 3 million views of people watching me eat this disgustingly. Why?
My mom.
Oh my God, your mother?
Yeah, I
Oh.
my mom on TikTok because I'll obviously I can't control if and when I go viral, but she can't handle it. Like she cannot handle the influx of, she will sit there and read all the comments. If somebody says some shit about me, now my immigrant mother is in my comments like, how dare, like, she's not about this life. Like, she's not about this life. And I think that like she's the perfect example of like, a lot of people aren't about that life, right? Yeah. But you can't necessarily tell the algorithm that I'm here for shits and giggles. Right. Like you can't. And I think another thing too, especially with platforms like Instagram, just the perception of like, even if you're not trying to be an influencer, Instagram is a platform that cultivates a culture of, I need to have the perfect feed, like only professional photography, only like fly outfits. Like, we are no longer on social media simply to enjoy it. We're on social media to create a perception of ourselves. And that perception that we're trying to create is not just for the public, it's even for the people in our sphere. And that brings me right back to stop getting kids iPads in high school.
See, look what happened to Jack.
That turned out fine. Co-founder.
Yeah, I mean, anyone could be a yeah.
Oh.
Now I'm kind of also like wondering why my mom hasn't been in my comment threads, because I'll have a word with her.
Work it out in therapy. Work it out in therapy.
Yeah. Now I'm going to do one that's a little less of a thinker. I want to know, what is a collab you would love to see happen between like a social media person, influencer, they don't have to be an influencer, someone who has a presence, and a brand?
I sort of, this would be like niche, but I think anything when Martha Stewart does something, like she could work with any brand. It's true. If Martha would be like, hey, I just put out a nail clipper. Like, yeah.
You'd know it would be the best nail clipper.
Or like, Martha's putting out not even just like a cookbook, like a how not to cook book. Like, I would buy, like, I think she just brings it, and she's like, just like, like she's so, just that you can't look away. And I think that's like,
Agreed.
That's
Her
my
and
favorite.
Snoop.
Yeah, well, wait, what was that?
Her and Snoop Dogg, their
Her and
friendship.
Snoop,
Oh
I mean,
my
her and
God.
Snoop could do anything.
They could do anything.
And
Yeah.
I'd buy it, I'd watch it. It's so interesting how like,
They're kind of like you and me.
Yeah, who is this Snoop Dogg? That's my answer.
I love it. I agree.
So you guys know when you guys go out to dinner and the waitress asks you, what would you like to drink? And you say a Coke. And they're like, is Pepsi okay? And the answer is always like, no, it's not okay. But you know what? I have a remedy for that. What if Britney Spears comes back and does a commercial again with them? You know?
I'm like worried about her, but yeah.
I am worried about her too, but what if she comes back and does the football commercial? You know, remember that time? I know you're a little young for that, but you know, there was a time when Britney was all about Pepsi. I feel like she could revive the popularity for, I would rather Pepsi than Coke, but that's just my answer. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a kind of a weird one. I get a lot of this on my feed of these people who have like cultivated a massive following from doing edits. So I have no idea what, this person's name is GOAT, G-O-A-T, and they do these crazy, super niche crossovers of culture, like, it's like a NBA edit mixed in with how to lose a guy in 10 days, and you're like, what is going on? But also I totally understand what's happening right now. And it almost feels like that there's already starting to be this movement where you're seeing Hollywood studios partner with some of these editors to create edits of movies that are coming out. And I feel like the next wave is going to be people latching on to certain people that are doing edits. Because for some reason, like, I don't know why, but that's some of the best content I see is these people that are just so creative in the way they edit things. I get so many Cars edits, like the movie Cars. And it's like,
Me and Gabe were both like, oh, okay, we like that kind of cars.
I know, like Lightning McQueen. And I'm fired up. When I see it, I'm like, let's go.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but it kind of feels like the next thing. I can see myself latching onto an editor. So seeing an editor partnering with literally anyone, I think it's it still is like kind of new. I can see a ton of brands being like, make me a Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Which like also kind of starting to exist, but yeah.
I mean, they could come edit for Slate if they want to, inside Slate. They can be our editors.
Totally.
Yeah.
100%.
So if you want to give me a list of names.
I'll reach out to my contacts.
Okay, sounds good. The Cars one specifically.
Yeah, I will. It's saved. It's saved in my TikTok.
I think that was a really good answer, because I really do love, like, but have any of you guys seen, like, the Heated Rivalry edits of Go Free by Megan Thee Stallion?
It's so good. It's so good. It's so good.
No, yeah. So yeah, and I agree. I think this era of, like, edits creators is gonna be a thing, but I also would love to see comment creators. Sometimes the content is not what it is. Sometimes the comments are really what get you. Like sometimes that is what creates the virality.
Yeah.
I have had moments where I have watched a video and I'm wondering why my algorithm brought me here.
Then you
And
look
I
at the
don't know
comment
until I
thread.
check the comments.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, buddy, this is what we're doing. And I'm like so excited because I'm like, yes, you guys are comedians. Everyone in these comments deserves to be a millionaire.
I could never.
Yeah, like I would love to see brands start like collaborating with comment creators. Like there are creators, people who are well known for the comments that they do, or well known for only like text-based. Like the person that comes to my mind right now, does anyone know Lottie Day? She was like really big on Twitter, and literally just became big on Twitter for being in everyone's comments, like everyone's comments. And I think that needs to be a thing. Because the whole concept of being a content creator also comes from like how much of yourself are you willing to expose? Like are you willing to show up on camera?
Yeah.
Are you willing to show your face a lot? And of course we have like these faceless accounts that are doing great and like whatever. But there are people who have creator, they have it.
Yeah.
And they just need the platform.
Yeah, I don't know. My theory is kind of that like when Twitter died, people found a new places to make Twitter work.
Yes.
And I think sometimes they try that with LinkedIn. And some, I don't know. I see hints of it. It's like people want old Twitter back, and I think the comment threads is where you can kind of like feel like you're grasping onto it.
Yes.
I would love to see like comment wars on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I would like just sit there.
Start one.
I would pay for that.
Double dog dare you.
I would pay for that. Just start shit.
Yeah.
And you know what?
Start a feud. Just start a big feud with everybody.
Who's your competitor? We can start a comment war with like, yeah.
CapCut, you're up.
Okay. I want to talk about we're like pretty. We can race through the last two, and then we can do a couple live questions. Piero? Yeah.
Sounds good.
Mike says yes. Okay. I quickly want to get your take on personal brands. I think that anyone in this room could understand the tension that comes along with like sort of the pressure maybe or the expectation to build a personal brand. And certainly in, let's say, like marketing, social media, maybe even advertising, it's become more of a norm that like you need to build your personal brand to show that you have the chops in your day-to-day work. And I get it. I get both sides. I understand why people don't want to build a personal brand, and I understand why people do build a personal brand. And obviously, I've experimented with different flavors of it. So I kind of just want to know where you fall on the spectrum of like, yes, this is a great thing, and we should embrace it, and like, no, I really don't want to. I don't think this should be a requirement.
Just gonna jump right in.
Go for it, girl.
I don't think it should be. I have big feelings. Okay. I don't think that people should be forced to have personal brands in order to maintain their career. I really, really don't. Unfortunately, it is what it is. I think that's just the direction that the economy is going in. It's unfortunate, yes. A large part of the content that I create on LinkedIn is talking about how I balance having a full-time job and also being a creator without subsequently being fired for it. And honestly, I would say like just 5 years ago, yeah, creators were being fired for it. Creators were being fired for going viral. And it was just such a regular thing for you to pop up and see someone say like, yeah, like my job let me go because I talked about something completely not connected to my job in the slightest. But I think now a lot of brands and companies are realizing that they no longer have the trust of their audiences, and that trust can only be accessed through individual people, and they want to tap into that. And so they want people to be able to kind of like prove their digital chops, right? Like, what can you make shape on the internet? I don't like it. But it's not my rules, I'm just playing the game, you know? So yeah.
I think, and I'm going to say this carefully, because I see what you're saying, but I do think it does benefit a lot of us to have a personal brand. And I say that because when I started creating or writing, sharing my thoughts on LinkedIn, I remember I was really intentional about saying, I don't want to go through this struggle of applying for jobs ever again. And that was my biggest gripe, was that it was very hard to break into tech because I would apply to all these different companies, I didn't know anybody, and it was really difficult to get my foot in the door. And it was through networking on LinkedIn, posting a lot more, having these coffee chats and conversations, and starting to share more openly that more opportunities started coming. And like we all know, we're all content creators and we all create on the daily basis, and we share a lot of our things. But I think as you grow more, what I've come to learn is that there's a bit of insurance with that when you have your personal brand, because it comes with a level of equity that I think it's expensive, like brands benefit from you having a stronger personal brand. You benefit, from getting the attention of many folks. And I think it's one of those things where when it's just about your intention and what you want to do with it. Like for me, it was all about I want to say shit and not get fired. I don't ever want to apply for a job again. And I also have come up through a community of social media marketers where I felt like we always got the shit end of the stick. Everybody never took my job seriously. Nobody took me seriously. So maybe if I got the attention of my community, and that's when somebody will start inviting me into conversation in the room, or when I give an opinion, people will take it more seriously. So I think there's a lot of benefits when it comes to it. There's also a lot of downside too, where it is a performance. It is, you only see parts of me that I want you to see. And it does become a little debilitating when, the algorithm hits you in the face and humbles you, and you get 100 impressions and then 0 likes except from your mom. There are days like that, but I think if we don't let those moments discourage us, then there are so many benefits to coming from that.
I think there's a really actually really frustrating double standard when it comes to this topic, because I actually think a lot of senior roles in companies are almost required to post, but then they want to cut the microphone, cut lights for folks who are trying to advance their career. They're actually you can't do that, but you should do that. And so I think that's really frustrating. But I think I agree with I think what you guys are saying is spot on. I do think there is a lot of upside and not a lot of downside in terms of what comes when you start to post and what that might attract. But to your point, you were just chatting earlier, you were up till 1 a.m. creating content after a long day. I've made content until midnight. That's all.
You guys do that?
Well, you're a mom.
Oh,
how? That's
I don't even understand how you do all that. What?
That's a whole other layer
Yeah.
of how
Yes.
do you then if it becomes a requirement, to your point, how do parents do this?
Yeah, I
How do
can
people-
wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Just be a bad mom.
I'm really good at
They're
that.
fed.
Great advice. I think it's a loaded question. It's there's double standards. It's difficult. It's not possible for everybody. There are upsides. There are downsides. I do think it is really empowering. I think I actually was bullied a lot at work when I started posting. And I'm fuck these people. But I didn't stop me, and they actually tried to stop me several times. But looking back, I've advanced my career in ways that I'm directly responsible for, and didn't have to rely on my manager or whoever was in the room with me to agree that I deserve more money or a raise. I actually created that for myself, and that's been really empowering for me personally. But I think it becomes difficult when the realities of time management, bandwidth, and people just life. Sometimes it's not possible. So.
We have time for a handful of questions. We do have gifts for those willing to ask a question, only if it's good. And I judge if it's good, so make it a good question. But before that, I want to hand this out. This is a brick. If anyone knows what a brick is, it's one of those things that get you off your phone a little bit more. Who you co-founder?
Yeah.
That's who won?
Yeah.
Yes.
What's your Gino?
Gino, this is for you for winning that. Congratulations. I'm just going to toss it. You ready for this? 1, 2, 3, here we go. Okay, good. All right, question. We got that.
I got the first question.
First question.
Talk about social media here and also most screen time in the room. Just want to let you guys know that. There's a game that we like to play growing up. It's about evaluating relationships, whether a long-term relationship or short-term one that's more fun, or one where you kill it off completely. We call it Marry F Kill. With the 3 social platforms between LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok, what would you MFK to those
Oh,
3?
love this, Gino.
How long has he been thinking about this?
That's a good question. You deserve it. Yep.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Kill Instagram.
Yes. Let it go.
Oh God. Okay, kill Instagram. Marry TikTok. F LinkedIn.
I would.
Oh no, she did.
I think I would fuck TikTok, marry LinkedIn, and kill Instagram. Right? Fuck, marry,
That's
kill.
2
Is that
kills
what
for
it is?
Instagram.
Huh? What? What'd you say?
We both killed it. Instagram.
We both killed Instagram. Yeah.
But marrying LinkedIn is.
Marrying LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You know, it
LinkedIn
brings
has
me.
401k.
Yeah, it brings me money. So I feel
Yeah.
like I can't.
I feel like that makes sense.
And you know, I fuck with TikTok because.
Yeah. TikTok is definitely like the fun.
Yeah, the fun. It's like it's not somebody you bring home to mom,
No,
but
yeah.
you know.
I think I would agree. I was thinking about, is F a good thing in this scenario?
I think.
Like it's a one-night stand type of
I think
Yes,
I think you're
it is.
into
It's a
it.
good-
You're
it's
into
a
it.
good
It's
thing.
okay.
Yeah. It's a good thing, but it's
you would
like-
catch something from TikTok because I actually would avoid it for that reason. So kill TikTok because you're gonna get something from it.
Play it safe, okay.
Yeah, play it safe. I think like Instagram is like reliable. Like right, like it's been around for a long time. Like it still works. Like I don't know. So then maybe you could marry it.
Ew.
But you know, if you think of the parents, like it's now you got a stepdad, Mark Zuckerberg. You know?
Yeah, but he's rich. So like whatever. And it's that turning down, I guess. Yeah, if I'm.
I think you
No, I killed TikTok, right? So it's.
You'd marry?
I'm married.
Mary, yeah, that's.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think you went pretty.
say the same thing.
Okay.
I was gonna say the same thing.
Yeah. Got that, Gino?
All right. Okay. I'm gonna go over here. And this is well. you guys.
It's lots of rush here. My question is, my name is James Seaton. I work at Admin, and my question is, I'm in the corporate space, and usually it's not as fun as the brand space, as far as like type of content that's created. And I think you have like really exciting examples like Air and Ramp and like B2B people who are doing like crazy activations, and you have people who are like posting their press release link with like 1 sentence. So my question is like, what recommendations would you have for corporate like trust building brands for the type of content that they need to be creating and the types of engagements with their audience that they need to be doing?
Was that good enough?
Might be.
Gotcha. Good question.
Yeah, this is literally my whole life because I work for news media companies. So case studies. I know that sounds boring as hell, but hold on. Wait a minute, I got you. I think a big thing with corporate is that, especially with case studies, we try to focus case studies on competitor behavior, when in reality, we should be outpacing our competitors. So I think being able to showcase how other brands that fall within like connected niches that might be doing something innovative there is a better way to go when it comes to case studies than what are our competitors doing. So a big part of what I'm doing at LinkedIn is that honestly, they weren't doing anything before me, so I have a really clean slate to work off of.
Slate.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm really doing well here.
I know, you're so good.
So I have a lot of leeway with really introducing new ideas. But the first of which was like, I'm not paying attention to what the New York Times is doing or Washington Post or any of them, right? Like we are not trying to keep up with news sources. We need to keep up with, we have a business side and we have an editorial side. The editorial side is going to function of its own accord, no matter what it is we're doing on the business side. The business side is what keeps money flowing in. And that is my job. And so I created case studies that pretty much outline like similarly ranked in size, output, international cadence, like what other media companies, they don't need to be news media, good. What are they doing, right? And how can we remain competitive with what they're doing, allowing us to then outpace our direct competitors who are the New York Times and Washington Post and them. So I think in corporate, we're taught to think very linearly. What are our competitors doing and how would we do what they're doing better than them? And instead of going in a completely different direction in the B2B space where I'm like, no, there are B2B frontrunners that exist, period. What can we learn from their strategies and what can we implement that's still safe within our realms, brand safe for the most part, but allow us to diversify and distinguish ourselves from our competitors. And that's how I approach it. And the proof is in the pudding, you hired me, so like, what I said.
Okay, Mike, I say go for another.
Get it out of there. Okay. Oh boy. On two. Okay. We got a bunch of it. We're gonna go there. Yep. That'll be a good one.
You don't have to test.
I gave the wrong thing. Holy crap.
Hello, my name is Tara. I'm the marketing and social media manager for Newark Airport Terminal A.
That's a cool job.
I'm looking for a new job though.
My bad, girl.
We can talk about that later. My question is, going back to the conversation that you guys were having before about how Australia had just placed that law about no one under 16 and how the countries in Europe are doing it. I would love for that to happen here. The pessimist in me is like, that will never happen in America. But I would love to hear what, like, if that would never happen, like what regulations you think could come and pass and actually be successful here, and like what recommendations you have for businesses and content creators and people that are posting on social to like really lift the negativity that can arise out of social media.
Hell yeah.
I knew you would like that one.
Yeah.
Fantastic question. Here you go.
So shameless plug, I am actually working on a college course because my hope is to be able to go back to higher ed as a professor and teach exactly this. Unfortunately, by that time, college students are already like pretty done for in the brain, but you know. But there are three things I think that should happen. One, I think we need to add legislation that social media and internet usage is now taught in schools. So they should have classes that help them understand how to use the internet to do research, like for primary resources, not like I did a Google search or I asked ChatGPT. Like we need to have more intentional classes that show how to use AI, how to like have intentional decision making, what is like digital, everything from like digital currency to how to be a good digital citizen to like all of that needs to be taught in classes to give students the opportunity to understand that their internet persona is not another personality of theirs, it is an extension of themselves, and we do that through fear mongering, but we don't do that through intentional usage. So like students know like, okay, well like don't, you know, send naked pictures of yourself because it might end up on the internet. And like that's what we're taught, right? Like I'm a millennial, I was taught like, don't go meet people in chat rooms. Okay, like, but I think there's a lot more we can do there. Number two, I think we should have algorithms according to age groups. Like under 16 algorithms. Content creators should be logging their content using certain tags that teach the algorithm who to show that content to and who not to show that content to. YouTube has done this fairly well for the most part, because your kid can definitely still get caught slipping on YouTube. But I think that's the only platform so far that has been able to utilize tags in a way where it can structure its algorithm because of YouTube Kids and kind of like regular YouTube to be able to like create that designation. And I think all platforms should be doing that because kids are going to be on the internet, they're going to be on social, and they should at least be exposed to each other instead of also exposed to like adults. And then the last thing, and I feel like this one might be a pretty unpopular opinion, but I think we as a society need to go back to having regular fucking phones. Like, my Motorola phone, you could throw it across the world and it would never break. Like, and I think ultimately, like, we have gotten away from, I guess this is more analog lifestyle, but I think that there should be developmental cadences for how children are exposed to technology. So like, I'm making this up, 0 to 5, and you get like a flip phone, right? Like my nephew right now has like a fake iPhone, where it's like the button is like a pear or whatever. But yeah, like, you know, like phones according to like developmental like ages, and you get your first phone with full internet and full capabilities when you're 17. And you have kind of a frontal lobe, maybe, it's like there. And I think that is, yeah, I know it's small, yeah, you know, it's the size of a pea, but it's there. And I think that's ultimately how we should start doing things, is according to development. Like, we have moved very far away from understanding children into young adults' development, and that should be a part of it. So that's how I would do it, but also, I have no kids, so hold on.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the panel. Keep it going.